This is Andi Purewal for Boxing News. I'm joined by a born-ready Don Charles here in London. Don, it's always a pleasure to see you. How is life treating you?
Life's very kind to me, and I'm very honoured.
I'm glad to hear it. Obviously, your first full camp with Mr. Daniel Dynamite Dubois coming towards an end now. You spent it out in sunny Spain, I believe. Just walk me through that decision, Don. What made you guys decide to take yourself to a warmer climate?
Experience, it's a massive opportunity, as you know, to be in this position for the fighter and myself. So I've had to gather literally every experience I've gotten over the years, and I decided that I wanted to take him away from his comfort zone, make it as uncomfortable as we can in preparation. And and I've used the facility in Spain once before, about 3 years ago. It's high up in the mountains, high altitude training in Sierra Nevada, Granada, in Spain. So that's where we did camp, and it's proved to be a really good decision.
Talk about taking him into an uncomfortable zone, shall we say. Next weekend, he'll be walking out in Poland in front of a largely Ukrainian fan base, going there to support Oleksandr Usyk. Very much so the lion's den. You've walked that walk many a time. How are you preparing Daniel for that, walking in there with what I imagine will be a chorus of boos to deal with?
Yeah, it's going to be a hostile environment, atmosphere. We are aware of that. Like I said, I have a very experienced team who work with me. And Daniel's a young man, and Daniel's been in these situations. Remember, he went to America away to win the title that he currently holds, the WBA regular heavyweight champion of the world. He is already a world champion, but the regular belt. So he had to go away, foreign soil, to do that. The capacity is a lot bigger, will be a lot bigger in Poland, but nevertheless, my theory is that it's a boxing ring that has the opposition and the referee that can count to 10, and that's all we need. The audience don't get in the ring. Once that bell rings, the audience don't get in the ring to fight.
Don, you've worked with a number of leading heavyweights. At the announcement press conference, you mentioned your time with Anthony Joshua prior to him turning professional. Obviously, you spent a great deal of time with Derek Chisora. Now you've got young Daniel Dubois, amongst others, that you've worked with as well. The power of Daniel Dubois is something that's always been spoken about. How does that fare in comparison to any other heavyweight you've worked with previously? Yeah,
I've been asked this before. My answer will always be the same. There are different ways to measure power. Okay, there's a thud power, there's a snap power, and there's a zippy power. I'm not going to tell you which fighter possesses which, but they all possess. Every heavyweight possesses power. Like I said, in my opinion, 3 different types of power. And Daniel's got incredible. In fact, he's got all 3. Zip, thud, and snap.
How does he put those to good use next weekend?
Yeah, basically, we've obviously practiced. He's demonstrated during sparring what he's going to do on the night, and we just need to score a high percentage and replicate what he's been doing in sparring. We need to score high. In every examination, you score high, you get A star, you get A. You can even get a B and still go to a university. So therefore, the whole point is to score high, replicate as high percentage as we can of what we've already rehearsed.
Daniel isn't somebody who's been looked at as being fleet-footed during his boxing career. Obviously, Oleksandr Usyk, the very opposite, 2 contrasting styles. But looking at how Anthony Joshua fought Oleksandr Usyk, a lot of people suggested he needed to make more of his physical advantages, the same physical advantages that Daniel possesses. Is that kind of a key factor heading into next weekend, that Daniel needs to impose himself on Oleksandr Usyk?
That is one of the areas, obviously. I'd be lying to you if I didn't say that. That is one of the main areas. Don't try and box Usyk. Yeah, you box him in parts. It's called boxing, but mostly got to turn it into an ugly, physical fight.
Is that the only way you feel that Daniel can win, or?
Like I said, that's one of the areas. There are so many areas. I'm not going to stand here and give you our game plan, but some of it is obvious that you've got to make it into a physical fight. Don't try and box Usyk because he's a masterful boxer. So therefore, we have to draw him into fighting our type of fight. That's our obligation.
Alexander's toughest test for many people were the Anthony Joshua fights at heavyweight. How much of those fights have you studied?
You have to study. Again, without sounding ignorant, Obviously, I've seen the fights, but the best thing to do is to, or what we've done, is to spend time perfecting what we do. Yeah, spend time perfecting what we do. We're aware of what he does, but the whole focus is to get our end of it as correct as we can, like I said, and make him trying to adapt to what we're doing rather than us trying to adapt to what he's doing. Yeah, make him dance to our tune, to our song. And that's our objective.
I know people always say the win matters no matter how it comes, but going out there into the lines then, are there any concerns if the fight was to go to the distance and you felt your man had done enough when those scorecards were to be read out? Are there any concerns it might not read favourably for you?
Well, I'm not going to focus too much on that, okay? I believe if we do what we're supposed to do, we won't be needing the referees or the judges, okay? If it happens to go the distance, I think it will be that convincing. By any means, there's so many scenarios here, okay? We've got options. We've devised options, plan A, B, C, D, yeah? So we'll take any of those that will spell us getting the win. But we're going to try very utmost to not to let it go to the referees or the judge. We're going to be the judge and the jury on that night. That's the plan.
So very much on the hunt for that knockout.
Pardon me?
Very much on the hunt for that knockout.
Most definitely. It's not a secret. Yeah, you're on foreign land, like you alluded to. We're going in there with our eyes open, you know. There's no like being naive. Like I said, this is where my experience comes into it as a coach. And like I said, we've got plans, and we're going to carry out. We've got various plans of how we want to end this fight, and one of them will come through. I'm 100% sure of that.
Don, just moving away from your charge, just want to stick with the heavyweight division though. Somebody you previously worked with, Derek Chisora, returned this past weekend, defeated Gerald Washington. What did you make of his performance and his win?
I didn't actually see the fight because I was actually at that fight. I had a heavyweight, Harry Armstrong, fighting Johnny Fisher. It was for two heavyweights, it was a very entertaining fight. For the neutrals, obviously, we lost. But if you're going to lose like that in the sense that they both gave a good account of themselves. Johnny was, unfortunately for us, too strong for us on the night. Physically too strong for us.
How does Harry look at in terms of kind of moving forwards with his career then? What are his plans?
Well, like I said, if you're going to lose, nobody wants to lose. If you're going to lose, give a good account of yourself, which he did. And we're going to go back. It's a bit early. Sit down collectively and work out a way for him. I would hate to think it was the end of his career from that type of performance. He gave a good account of himself. We're going to go back and regroup and come again.
I know you said you was obviously busy with your man, but after Derek's fight with Gerald Washington, a lot of people once again called for him to potentially step away from the ring. Would you like to see him go and enjoy now his life after boxing, or you know him as well as anyone? What Derek wants, he does.
Yeah, most definitely. Derek is his own man, and basically, I haven't seen the fight. We'll go and watch the fight. He has said it himself. Derek wants to reach the figure of 50 in terms of number of fights he has. I believe that was fight number 47. It depends on what caliber of opponent he's going to, for the next, say, for instance, that he's going to get that number. It depends on what level of opposition he'll be fighting to reach that number. So, you know, what can I say except for, provided it's not top grade, the level of, let's say, your Washingtons, then I haven't seen the fight on Saturday, mind you, but having said that, I know he's fixed on reaching that number 50.
In a hypothetical world, Dan, and I imagine this is a bit of an awkward question for you, if at any point Daniel was to cross paths with Derek and you're still working with Daniel, would you work his corner?
Categorically, N, capital N, capital O. That fight will never happen. Whether I'm training Derek or whatever, no, that fight will never happen. They're two of my children, man. They can't fight.
That's fair enough, Don. I understand that. Obviously, the main event for that card, Joshua Helenius. Did you catch AJ's performance?
No, I saw the stoppage. What a brutal stoppage. You know, a lot of, you know, it's hard to please the public, you know, sometimes, you know, because he had 12 rounds to do the job, right? So he had to pay respect because Helenius is no mug, okay? Helenius is no mug. And from what I saw, he chipped away trying to replicate what they've rehearsed in training. It took his time, took its time, then the opportunity presented itself, and I mean, what a finish. You know, people, oh, he should have gone in there. No, he didn't. And if you try and take a gamble earlier on and then you get knocked out, and then people are going to say you're rubbish, it's hard to please. So, as a from a coach, I'm speaking from a coach's perspective, right? I believe, I haven't seen the whole fight. I think I've seen 3 rounds leading up to the stoppage. He was doing things that I haven't seen him do before. Yeah, he was using the jab upstairs, downstairs, upstairs, downstairs. And then suddenly he fell. You could see the fighter. What people don't realize, the fighter is able to see the opposition's eyes. He saw Helenius was ready to go. Then he took a chance and stepped in and concluded the fight. If I was training him for that, I'd be very proud of that performance. So, you know, but like I said, it's very hard to please. Especially a lot of these critics have never even been in a boxing ring in their life. So it's kind of quite laughable.
Don, that's going to be my next question. Obviously, there's been a lot of criticism pointed towards AJ after his victory. Do you feel like people are too harsh on him, or do you think there's kind of somewhat of a reasoning behind it just because of what he's achieved in the sport and certainly how high up in the heavyweight division he's ranked?
Yeah, I think people are being a bit too harsh on the guy, you know, because look what he's... I always choose to look at positives, that's just me. Yeah, let's concentrate on the positives. What that kid has achieved, a kid who didn't even have an extensive amateur career, he didn't. And what he's done for boxing in the Britain, in the United Kingdom, yeah, there's a boxing gym every 100 yards in every corner of England. Why? Because of AJ. So get off his back, you know, get off his back.
Don, I just want to get your thoughts on, obviously the fight we was due to see last week was Joshua Whyte 2, Dillian failing a test. That news breaking a week before. What was your thoughts when you heard that news?
Very disappointing, terribly disappointed like the rest of the country, you know, because that's the fight everybody wanted to see, you know. I'm not at liberty to comment any further because, as you know, until the man's proven guilty, he's not guilty.
That's fair enough, Don. Just the final one, Fury-Ngannou. It's not the fight we all wanted, but it's the fight we're getting. Just your thoughts ahead of that bout in October.
Will you watch it?
I'm on annual leave. I'm at a wedding, so I won't watch it.
Okay, but you're going to watch it afterwards, right?
Maybe.
You can admit it. Yeah, no. I'm going to watch it because, you know, listen, we will moan, we will complain again because I'm disappointed also that he didn't... have the fight that was supposed to be. In fact, I'm not disappointed because had he had that fight, we wouldn't be standing here talking, right? So, no, as a boxing fan, no, disappointed. But nevertheless, it's a spectacle. We're going to see what Fury is going to do with Ngannou, and yeah, it's going to be entertaining.
Don, listen, it's a pleasure as always. I've known there's a queue forming behind me, so good luck with the rest of your preparations, and I'll see you next week in Poland.
I appreciate it always.